Ladies and gentlemen, in a world teeming with noise, where the chatter of others often fills the air, it's easy to fall into the trap of overexposure, of allowing people to know more about you than they should. We live in a time where transparency is often hailed as a virtue, yet the oversharing of one's inner life can be a double-edged sword. When you reveal too much, you risk forfeiting your power. Your vulnerabilities, ambitions, and thoughts, shared indiscriminately, can be used not to support you, but to manipulate, criticize, or undermine you. People are not always as benevolent as we'd like to believe. Some may weaponize your openness against you, subtly or overtly, to control outcomes or erode your confidence. Moreover, sharing too much leaves you exposed to the judgment of others. When people know every detail of your life, they begin to form opinions. Opinions that may be incomplete, inaccurate, or outright unfair. Instead of being understood, you may find yourself misunderstood, pigeonholed into a narrative that doesn't reflect the full truth of who you are. There is also a psychological cost to over-disclosure. When you share too much, you risk diluting the meaning of your experiences. The sacredness of your thoughts and emotions is compromised when they are scattered carelessly into the world. Some aspects of your life are meant to be kept in the quiet corners of your mind, to be contemplated in solitude, or shared with only those who've earned the privilege. Discretion is a shield. It protects not only your reputation, but also your peace of mind. There is a strength in mystery, a kind of quiet power that emanates from those who are careful about what they reveal. It compels others to respect you, to approach you with curiosity rather than presumption. And let us not forget that maintaining privacy is also a form of self-respect. To guard your thoughts and your personal life is to affirm your own worth. It's a recognition that not everyone is entitled to access your inner world. You are not obligated to hand over the keys to your life just because someone is curious. Revealing too much about yourself to others can have profound implications on your sense of control, your relationships, and even your self-perception. When we open up about our vulnerabilities, desires, or even our mistakes, we often imagine it will foster connection, understanding, or sympathy. And while that can sometimes be the case, it's not the whole picture. The truth is, not everyone will interpret your openness with goodwill. In fact, sharing too much can inadvertently hand over a degree of power to others, power they might use in ways you don't anticipate. Vulnerability is a double-edged sword. When wielded carefully, it can indeed build bridges and deepen trust. But in the wrong hands, or when revealed indiscriminately, it becomes a liability. People can take what you share and twist it. They might distort your intentions or amplify your flaws, often to serve their own ends. This can manifest in subtle ways, like colleagues who use your admissions to cast doubt on your competence, or acquaintances who gossip about your personal struggles. In these moments, what was offered as a gesture of authenticity is turned into a tool for criticism or control. This dynamic is even more evident in competitive environments, whether at work, in social groups, or even within families. Sharing your goals and aspirations, for instance, might inspire support in some cases, but it can also incite envy or sabotage. There are people who, consciously or not, might use your openness to gain an advantage. If they know your insecurities or weaknesses, they may exploit them, whether by undercutting your confidence, steering conversations to highlight your flaws, or positioning themselves in ways that undermine your efforts. The more people know about your inner world, the more material they have to manipulate situations to their benefit and to your detriment. Beyond manipulation, oversharing can also erode your sense of agency. Once your personal thoughts or experiences are out in the open, they are no longer entirely yours. They belong, in a way, to those who've heard them, and you lose the ability to control how they are perceived or interpreted. What you intended as a vulnerable moment may be remembered as a sign of weakness. What you saw as a confession of ambition might be seen as arrogance or overreach. The narrative of your life, once shared, is no longer solely authored by you. This loss of control can leave you feeling exposed and even powerless, as others reshape your story in ways that don't align with your truth. Furthermore, when you share too much, you invite others to evaluate, critique, and even judge you. And not everyone is equipped or willing to do so in a fair or empathetic way. People's reactions to your openness are filtered through their own biases, insecurities, and experiences, meaning that their feedback often says more about them than about you. Yet, the more they know, the more they feel entitled to weigh in, influencing how you see yourself and how others see you. This can create a vicious cycle where the feedback you receive, whether good, bad, or indifferent, affects your confidence and choices, subtly steering you away from your own instincts. At a deeper level, sharing too much can also create an unhealthy dependency on external validation. When we divulge our struggles or dreams, we often hope for reassurance or support, but this reliance on others for affirmation can backfire, especially when their reactions don't meet our expectations. If the responses are indifferent, dismissive, or even hostile, it can deepen feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. The more you rely on external validation, the more you give away your inner sense of power and security, tethering your self-worth to the unpredictable opinions of others. Lastly, it's important to recognize that trust is not universal, it's earned. Not everyone deserves to know the depths of your fears, the details of your dreams, or the intricacies of your struggles. Sharing too much too soon can blur the boundaries between healthy relationships and exploitative ones. When you reveal your vulnerabilities indiscriminately, you diminish their significance, leaving them open to misuse by those who haven't proven themselves trustworthy. This is why discretion is crucial. It allows you to assess who truly has your best interests at heart and who might see your openness as an opportunity to gain leverage. In this way, protecting your inner world is not just an act of caution, it's an act of self-preservation. When you share too much about yourself, you open the door to the judgment of others in ways that can be subtle, overt, and often outside your control. The act of disclosing personal information, whether it's about your past, your struggles, or even your opinions, may feel cathartic or necessary at the moment, yet once that information leaves your lips, it becomes subject to interpretation, distortion, and critique by those who receive it. This can leave you vulnerable to misunderstandings, unfair labeling, and the kind of scrutiny that reshapes how others perceive you and ultimately how you perceive yourself. Human beings are quick to form narratives. When you provide too much information about your life, people piece together stories about you based on the fragments they've been given. These stories, however, are rarely complete or accurate. They are filtered through the lens of the listener's biases, experiences, and assumptions, which can lead to a skewed interpretation of who you are. Is it the behavior of a stigmatized Nick? Is it that you are morally bound to take sons and kids in the same home? Or is it that that's freedom? Creativity is really only as good as the limbs. For example, an admission of a past failure might be seen as evidence of incompetence rather than a sign of growth. Sharing personal struggles might prompt sympathy in one person but provoke judgment or condescension in another. Once these narratives take hold, they can be difficult to undo. What's particularly insidious about this dynamic is that people's judgments are often influenced by their own insecurities. Someone who feels threatened by your success might interpret your ambition as arrogance. Another person, grappling with their own failures, might view your honesty about mistakes as weakness rather than courage. The judgments they project onto you often have little to do with your reality, yet they can shape how you are treated in significant ways. Over time, these perceptions accumulate, creating a version of you in others' minds that might bear little resemblance to who you truly are. This process is not limited to casual relationships. Even in professional settings, sharing too much can be damaging. For instance, a candid remark about feeling overwhelmed might lead colleagues or supervisors to question your competence, even if your overall performance is strong. Similarly, revealing personal struggles in the workplace might elicit momentary empathy, but later be used as a subtle justification for passing you over for opportunities. These judgments are rarely voiced outright, but they can influence how people interact with you, how much trust they place in you, and whether they view you as an asset or a liability. Another layer to this is the permanence of disclosure. Once people know something about you, they rarely forget it. Even if your circumstances or mindset change, their perceptions of you often remain stuck in the past. For instance, sharing financial struggles during a rough period might prompt others to see you as someone who is perpetually unstable, even after you've regained the stability. Similarly, revealing a moment of insecurity or doubt might lead others to pigeonhole you as someone who lacks confidence, even if that moment was fleeting and unrepresentative of your broader character. In this way, oversharing can tether you to a version of yourself that no longer exists, limiting your ability to grow and evolve in the eyes of others. The judgment that stems from overdisclosure can also seep into your own self-perception. When others misunderstand or critique you, it's natural to internalize some of their feedback. Even if their opinions are unfounded, the act of hearing them can plant seeds of doubt. Over time, this can erode your confidence and make you question your decisions, your capabilities, or even your worth. The very act of sharing, which might have felt empowering or necessary at the moment, can leave you feeling exposed and diminished once you see how it has been received. Moreover, oversharing often invites unsolicited advice, which can be just as damaging as outright judgment. When people feel entitled to weigh in on your life, they often do so without fully understanding your circumstances, values, or goals. Their advice might be well-intentioned but misguided, leaving you feeling misunderstood or pressured to conform to their expectations. This dynamic can create confusion as you find yourself navigating the opinions of others rather than staying grounded in your own sense of purpose. In the end, sharing too much doesn't just invite judgment, it amplifies it. It magnifies the voices of those around you, often at the expense of your own. By offering up too many details, you give people the tools to define you, critique you, and categorize you in ways that may not align with your truth. The more you reveal, the more you hand over the power to others, leaving yourself vulnerable to the very misunderstandings and criticisms you might have been trying to avoid. When you share too much about yourself, you risk diluting the meaning and value of your experiences. The thoughts, emotions, and moments that shape your inner world carry an intrinsic weight, but when shared indiscriminately, they lose their depth and significance. Each personal experience, whether it's a triumph, a hardship, or a revelation, exists not only as an event, but also as a source of reflection, growth, and understanding. Yet the act of oversharing can strip these experiences of their unique power, reducing them to mere pieces of information for others to consume. A personal experience holds meaning partly because it is yours. It is a private moment that helps define who you are, guiding your decisions and shaping your identity. When you share these moments too readily, you risk trivializing them. For instance, a deeply personal insight that came from overcoming a significant challenge might lose its transformative essence when casually shared in a conversation or online post. The more frequently or carelessly you talk about it, the less impactful it becomes, even to you. The sacredness of that moment fades, replaced by a shallow familiarity that robs it of its ability to inspire or teach. Sharing excessively can also disrupt the natural process of self-reflection. Before you fully understand or internalize an experience, you might feel compelled to share it with others, seeking validation, support, or simply an outlet for expression. However, when this happens prematurely, the opportunity for deeper personal growth is often lost. Reflecting on your experiences privately allows you to extract their true lessons and integrate them into your life in a meaningful way. When you skip this step and share too soon, the process becomes external rather than internal. Instead of grappling with your thoughts and emotions in solitude, you outsource that effort to others, diluting the experience and its meaning. Furthermore, the act of sharing invites interpretation, and once others weigh in, your experience is no longer solely your own. When you disclose a personal moment, people often respond based on their own perspectives, biases, and assumptions. They might offer advice, critique, or commentary that shifts the way you see your own experience. This external influence can distort the meaning of the moment, leaving you with a fragmented or altered understanding of it. What was once a deeply personal and profound experience becomes something shared and shaped by others, losing the purity it once held. In today's digital age, this issue is magnified by the culture of oversharing on social media. People often feel pressured to broadcast their lives, turning even their most personal moments into public content. While this can create a sense of connection or relatability, it also diminishes the depth of those moments. A heartfelt story about personal growth, reduced to a caption and a handful of likes, loses its weight. The more you share publicly, the more your experiences are subjected to fleeting attention, shallow interactions, and ultimately a loss of meaning. Oversharing also impacts how you value your own experiences. When you share too much, too often, you risk becoming desensitized to the importance of your own life events. Each disclosure becomes just another story, just another piece of your narrative. This can lead to a sense of detachment, where the richness of your life is overshadowed by what was once a source of pride, reflection, or inspiration becomes mundane, leaving you feeling disconnected from the very experiences that should have empowered you. Additionally, oversharing can lead to a mismatch between how you see yourself and how others see you. When you repeatedly share personal stories, particularly struggles or challenges, people may begin to define you by those moments. This can pigeonhole you into a narrow version of yourself, one that doesn't fully capture your complexity. Instead of being seen as someone with a diverse range of experiences and qualities, you risk being reduced to a collection of anecdotes or traits that don't reflect your full identity. This not only dilutes the meaning of your individual experiences, but also creates a dissonance between your internal self and your external image. There is also an emotional toll to oversharing. When you reveal too much, you make yourself emotionally vulnerable, often without realizing the impact it will have. Recounting personal experiences repeatedly, especially difficult ones, can reopen emotional wounds, preventing you from moving forward. Instead of finding closure or resolution, you remain tethered to those moments, reliving them through the act of sharing. This can prevent you from fully processing and letting go of the emotions tied to those experiences, leaving you stuck in a cycle of overexposure and emotional strain. Ultimately, your experiences hold value because they are uniquely yours. They serve as a foundation for your growth, a source of wisdom, and a reminder of your journey. Sharing them sparingly, with intention and care, allows them to retain their significance. When you overshare, however, you dilute that value, turning profound moments into fleeting stories that lose their impact, both for you and for those who hear them. There is an undeniable strength in mystery, a power that emanates from keeping parts of yourself unknown to others. In a world where people often rush to overshare in the name of authenticity or connection, holding back can create an aura of intrigue and respect that sets you apart. When you choose to be selective about what you reveal, you maintain control over how others perceive you and how they engage with you. This quiet power of discretion fosters curiosity and compels others to approach you with care rather than taking you for granted or making assumptions about your character. Mystery creates boundaries, and boundaries demand respect. When you don't reveal everything about yourself, others are left to fill in the blanks. This requires them to exercise restraint in their judgments and to approach you with an open mind. By keeping parts of your life private, you avoid being prematurely categorized or pigeonholed. People are less likely to make sweeping assumptions about you when they don't have enough information to do so. As in the case of the man with the knife master, Hazy's insanity decision spurred him to force a relationship with his wife before he was able to formally divorce. And despite Hazy's insanity decisions spurred him to formally divorce, as a result, the marriage ends. The question is, why? In this way, mystery forces others to tread carefully, treating you with the deference that comes from not knowing everything. Moreover, being selective about what you reveal makes what you do share more impactful. When you rarely disclose personal information, each revelation carries more weight. People listen more attentively and take your words more seriously because they understand that what you share is intentional and meaningful. By contrast, those who overshare risk diluting their words and stories to the point where they no longer carry significance. The less you reveal, the more others value the insights or details you choose to provide. Mystery also shifts the dynamic of power in relationships. When others don't know everything about you, they are left in a state of curiosity. This curiosity works in your favor, as people tend to be drawn to what they don't fully understand. It creates a sense of intrigue, compelling others to invest time and effort into learning more about you when they wouldn't expend if they already had all the answers. In fact, there's a great book called Working with Knowledge. A professional poet, Dr. Jessica Boys, wrote that the category of leaders called experts is unfortunately just. This dynamic not only elevates your perceived value, but also gives you the advantage of controlling how much access others have to your inner world. Additionally, maintaining an air of mystery protects you from unnecessary scrutiny. When you share too much, you invite others to examine and critique your life. Every detail you reveal becomes a potential point of discussion, analysis, or judgment. By keeping certain aspects of yourself private, you shield those parts from the prying eyes of others. You avoid unnecessary commentary and preserve your peace of mind, allowing you to navigate your life without the weight of external opinions clouding your decisions or self-perception. As I've mentioned before, mystery also plays a crucial role in maintaining personal autonomy. When you keep parts of your life private, you retain the freedom to define yourself on your own terms. You are not beholden to others' interpretations or expectations, as they lack the information needed to impose their narratives on you. This autonomy allows you to grow and evolve without feeling constrained by the identities others may try to assign you. It gives you the space to make changes, take risks, and explore new paths without the fear of being judged or misunderstood. Furthermore, the power of mystery extends beyond relationships and into broader social dynamics. Those who are perceived as enigmatic often command a higher level of respect and influence. People are naturally drawn to individuals who are not entirely transparent, as they associate mystery with depth, wisdom, and strength. This perception can work to your advantage in professional settings, where being too open or predictable can sometimes undermine your credibility or authority. By revealing only what is necessary, you project confidence and self-assurance, signaling to others that you are in control of your narrative. Another benefit of mystery is that it protects your emotional well-being. When you share too much, you open yourself up to the emotional responses of others, responses that may not always be supportive or kind. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you create a buffer between yourself and the outside world. This buffer allows you to process your thoughts and emotions in peace, free from the influence or interference of others. It also reduces the likelihood of being hurt by unkind words, dismissive reactions, or unsolicited advice, as you have not given others access to the vulnerable parts of yourself. Finally, mystery empowers you to live authentically. Ironically, withholding certain parts of yourself allows you to be more genuine. When you are not constantly explaining or justifying your choices to others, you are free to live in alignment with your values and desires. You don't have to conform to external expectations or worry about how your decisions will be perceived. Instead, you can focus on what truly matters to you, knowing that the parts of your life you hold back are yours alone to cherish and understand. This quiet, deliberate choice to preserve mystery is, in itself, a profound act of self-respect and personal power. Guarding your inner world and maintaining privacy is an essential act of self-respect. In a world that often encourages openness and vulnerability, there is immense value in recognizing that not everyone is entitled to access the most intimate parts of your life. The decision to keep certain aspects of yourself private is not a sign of weakness, but rather a demonstration of your self-worth. It is a recognition that your thoughts, feelings, and experiences are valuable and should be shared only with those who have earned the privilege of knowing them. This act of protecting your inner world is an assertion of boundaries that serves to preserve your emotional well-being and sense of autonomy. When you allow others too much access to your personal life, you risk diminishing your sense of agency. Overexposure to the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others can erode your self-esteem and make you feel like you are constantly under scrutiny. The more you share, the more you give others the power to define you, shaping their perception of who you are and how you should behave. By guarding your privacy, you maintain control over your identity. You define your own worth rather than allowing others to impose their views or assumptions on you. This autonomy enables you to remain grounded in your own values and goals without being influenced by the sometimes conflicting or misguided opinions of others. Maintaining privacy also protects your emotional energy. Life can be demanding, and constantly sharing your inner world with others can lead to emotional exhaustion. When you open up to too many people, you risk being pulled in multiple directions, as others' needs and expectations can overwhelm your own. By keeping certain parts of yourself private, you create a space where you can recharge, reflect, and process your emotions without the intrusion of outside forces. This personal space is essential for maintaining mental and emotional clarity. It allows you to stay centered in the midst of a noisy and chaotic world, so that you can make decisions that are aligned with your true self, rather than responding to the pressures or influences around you. Moreover, maintaining privacy serves to safeguard your personal integrity. Not everyone in your life has the same level of trustworthiness or understanding, and sharing too much with the wrong people can leave you vulnerable to betrayal, exploitation, or criticism. By choosing to keep certain aspects of yourself private, you reduce the risk of being taken advantage of or hurt by those who may not have your best interests at heart, and the chances of your family or friends who would hurt you the most by carving out a bridge to something that doesn't ring true. You protect your dignity by ensuring that only those who have demonstrated respect and loyalty are allowed access to your most private thoughts and feelings. This also prevents others from using your personal information against you, either intentionally or inadvertently, to undermine your sense of self or manipulate situations to their benefit. You protect your dignity by ensuring that only those who have demonstrated respect and loyalty are allowed access to your most private thoughts and feelings. This also prevents others from using your personal information against you, either intentionally or inadvertently, to undermine your sense of self or manipulate situations to their benefit. / air quote. There is also a profound connection between privacy and self-care. When you prioritize protecting your inner world, you are acknowledging your own worth and importance. You recognize that your thoughts, emotions, and experiences deserve to be handled with care and respect. This acknowledgement forms the foundation of self-compassion. Instead of constantly seeking validation or approval from others, you learn to trust your own judgment and give yourself the space to grow and evolve without external interference. Self-respect, in this sense, is not just about how you present yourself to the world, but by maintaining privacy, you honor the sanctity of your inner life and foster a sense of peace and contentment that comes from knowing you are in charge of what you reveal and to whom. In a broader sense, maintaining privacy is a form of emotional sovereignty. It's a recognition that you are the guardian of your emotions, and it is up to you to decide when and how to share them. In a world that often pressures individuals to be constantly open, transparent, and accessible, the act of protecting your emotional boundaries becomes an act of resistance against the encroachment of others into your personal space. This sovereignty allows you to cultivate a strong sense of self-worth and resilience. When you are not constantly seeking validation from others, you learn to rely on your own judgment and inner resources. You gain the confidence to make choices that are aligned with your values and needs, rather than seeking approval or aligning with the expectations of those around you. Finally, privacy reinforces the value of trust in relationships. By choosing to share only with those who have earned your trust, you create deeper, more meaningful connections. Trust is built over time and through mutual respect, not through forced or premature disclosures. By holding back certain parts of yourself, you invite others to prove that they are worthy of knowing you more intimately. This selective sharing allows relationships to deepen in a way that feels authentic and earned, rather than transactional or superficial. As a result, the relationships you cultivate are more likely to be supportive, reciprocal, and based on genuine understanding rather than on the mere exchange of information. By maintaining privacy, you not only protect your own sense of self, but also foster stronger, more meaningful connections with those who truly deserve to be a part of your life. When you overshare, you invite others to weigh in on your life, and often this results in unsolicited advice. While advice can sometimes be helpful, it often comes from a place of limited understanding, with people offering suggestions based on their own biases or experiences, rather than a true understanding of your situation. When you share too much, you open yourself up to receiving feedback that may not always be in your best interest. The problem with unsolicited advice is that it is rarely tailored to your unique circumstances and can instead be generalized or rooted in someone else's perspective, which may not apply to you at all. People tend to offer advice from their own frame of reference based on their life experiences, their values, or even their desires for you. For instance, if someone has a rigid idea of what success looks like, they may try to push you toward their vision of achievement without considering your personal goals or definitions of fulfillment. Their advice may ignore the nuances of, instead of helping, it could lead you to question your own decisions and goals, as you find yourself swayed by external voices that don't fully grasp your reality. Unsolicited advice can also create pressure. When you reveal too much about your struggles or challenges, people may feel compelled to fix the situation, even when the solution they offer isn't appropriate for you. They may attempt to impose their solutions, which can feel like a dismissal of your own agency and judgment. Instead of empowering you, their advice might make you feel more inadequate or uncertain. It can create an imbalance in relationships, where the person giving advice assumes a position of authority or expertise over your life, undermining your autonomy. Furthermore, the problem with unsolicited advice is that it doesn't always come from a place of genuine concern or helpfulness. Often it stems from the need of the other person to feel important or needed. When people give advice without being asked, they may be motivated by a desire to express control, influence, or superiority, rather than a desire to help. This can create a power dynamic in which your feelings, thoughts, and decisions are minimized in favor of their perspective. In some cases, oversharing can open you up to judgment disguised as advice. People may claim to offer suggestions, but the tone or content of their advice may instead reflect their judgment or criticism. They may suggest changes to your behavior, beliefs, or lifestyle in a way that implies you're not doing things right or well enough. This type of advice, even if well-meaning, can be damaging to your self-esteem and sense of self-worth. You might find yourself constantly second-guessing your choices, wondering if you've somehow fallen short of the expectations others have set for you. Moreover, unsolicited advice can create confusion, especially when it contradicts the advice you've already received or already following. Everyone has different ideas of what's best for someone else, and those ideas often conflict. When you're bombarded with conflicting advice, it can lead to a sense of the more you share, the more likely it becomes that you will encounter this sort of advice overload, which can leave you overwhelmed and unsure of which direction to take. Oversharing also invites people to offer advice when what you really need is simply to be heard. Sometimes sharing personal struggles or thoughts is not about seeking solutions, but about expressing yourself and receiving empathy. When you reveal too much, though, people may leap to offer solutions without first understanding that you just need someone to listen. You want praise when they only need comfort and what got an interview. This can diminish your emotional experience and create a sense of frustration as you feel your feelings are being dismissed in favor of quick fixes. In moments when you just want to be understood, the unsolicited advice feels like an intrusion, and instead of feeling supported, you feel disconnected and misunderstood. The urge to offer advice can also be driven by the listener's need to align their own perspective with yours. In many cases, people's advice stems from a desire to validate their own choices or opinions. They may offer solutions that work for them or follow conventional wisdom, not necessarily what will work best for you. The result is that they impose their own worldview on your life, potentially disregarding your unique needs, desires, and circumstances. All of this highlights the importance of being discerning in what you share with others. Oversharing invites an influx of unsolicited advice, which can be confusing, overwhelming, and even damaging. It can lead to unwanted pressure, unwanted judgment, and unwanted solutions that may not serve your true needs. Maintaining some level of privacy helps preserve your emotional space, allowing you to navigate challenges in a way that feels true to yourself without external interference. When you share selectively, you can protect yourself from the unsolicited advice that too often clouds your judgment and undermines your sense of autonomy. When you share too much about yourself, you often sacrifice your emotional well-being by making yourself vulnerable in ways that can lead to manipulation. Vulnerability is a delicate balance. It can foster connection and trust in healthy relationships, but when shared indiscriminately, it opens the door for others to exploit your emotions, insecurities, and desires. So by revealing too much about your fears, weaknesses, and personal struggles, you expose yourself to those who might use that information against you, intentionally or unintentionally. The risk is that others might manipulate your openness for their own gain or to further their own agenda. People who are skilled at manipulation can easily recognize when someone is vulnerable, and they often exploit these moments to their advantage. For example, if someone knows your weaknesses or insecurities, perhaps details about your childhood, personal relationships, or past failures, they may use this knowledge to control you, influence your decisions, or even guilt trip you into doing things you're not comfortable with. They may subtly exploit your fears or play on your emotions, knowing that you have already opened up to them and trust them with intimate details of your life. By using this sensitive information, they can create situations where you feel obliged to comply with their wishes, even when you know deep down it's not in your best interest. Manipulation often comes in the form of emotional coercion, where your vulnerabilities are used as tools to control your behavior. For example, someone who knows about your financial struggles might use that knowledge to guilt you into lending them money, even if it's not a fair request. Similarly, if you've shared details about your relationship difficulties, someone might subtly make you feel responsible for other people's problems or make you feel guilty for setting healthy boundaries. Over time, this emotional manipulation erodes your confidence and leaves you feeling like you are constantly walking on eggshells, uncertain of who can truly be trusted with your feelings and experiences. Even if manipulation is not overt, being too open with your emotions can invite subtle forms of influence. People may unintentionally project their own needs, opinions, or expectations onto you, leading you to doubt your own perspective or make decisions that you might not have otherwise made. For example, a friend who knows you have deep concerns about your career might offer unsolicited advice, subtly pushing you towards a path they deem right for you without considering your own desires or ambitions. They might not even realize they are doing it, but their suggestions, when based on personal bias, can influence your choices in ways that align with their values rather than yours. Moreover, oversharing creates an imbalance in your relationships where one person becomes privy to a great deal of personal information and the other may not share the same level of vulnerability. This uneven distribution of trust can lead to feelings of resentment or emotional fatigue. You may feel that you are constantly giving, opening up more and more of yourself, but receiving little in return. This emotional imbalance makes you susceptible to manipulation because the other person is now in a position of power, holding your vulnerabilities and emotional state in their hands, while you may not have the same level of insight into their life or intentions. Another danger of oversharing is that it can inadvertently invite criticism, especially when people know the raw, unfiltered aspects of your life. When others are aware of your emotional struggles, personal failures, or mistakes, they may feel more comfortable offering unsolicited criticism, whether constructive or not. In these moments, your openness can backfire, leaving you feeling exposed and judged. Your power is in your freedom to understand whether or not you should go for it. Instead of receiving empathy or understanding, you may be met with judgment or pity, which can further reinforce negative emotions and self-doubt. Instead of building trust and understanding, your openness may make others feel as though they have the right to weigh in on parts of your life that are meant to remain private or sacred. The risk of manipulation through oversharing is heightened when your vulnerability becomes a constant theme in your interactions. If you repeatedly share personal details about your life, others may start to view you as an emotional resource rather than an equal partner in a relationship. Your experiences, struggles, and emotions may begin to be seen as opportunities for others to feel needed or to gain a sense of control over your life. You may start to feel like you're being used emotionally as others lean on you for the emotional labor of listening or offering sympathy without offering anything substantial in return. The balance of the relationship shifts, and your well-being can be compromised as your emotional needs are disregarded in favor of theirs. Furthermore, when you overshare, you may inadvertently expose yourself to the judgment of others who may use your vulnerabilities as a form of comparison. They might pity you, patronize you, or criticize your decisions based on the intimate details you've shared. In such cases, your personal history or struggles are no longer just a part of your journey, but become something that others can reference or use to assess you, often in ways that aren't fair or constructive. Their judgment can cloud their perception of you, and you may begin to feel the weight of their opinions more acutely, even if those judgments are unfounded or misinformed. To protect your emotional well-being, it's essential to cultivate discernment about what you share and with whom. Oversharing makes you vulnerable not only to those who wish to manipulate or take advantage of your openness, but also to those who may not fully understand or respect the emotional depth of what you're revealing. When you selectively guard your personal life, you retain a sense of emotional agency and protection, reducing the risk of being taken advantage of or manipulated. It also allows you to establish healthier, more balanced relationships where trust is mutual and your vulnerabilities are respected rather than exploited. In an age where constant connection and transparency are often seen as virtues, maintaining privacy is a crucial form of self-care. While modern culture frequently encourages individuals to open up and share every aspect of their lives on social media, in personal interactions, and even in professional spaces, there is a deep need for personal space and boundaries that should not be disregarded. Privacy offers a sanctuary where individuals can retreat, reflect, and recharge without the constant demands of others. It is a way of protecting one's mental and emotional health by creating a buffer between oneself and the outside world. This buffer allows for the cultivation of inner peace and autonomy, free from external pressures or the weight of others' expectations. One of the fundamental ways that privacy functions as a form of self-care is by preserving your mental clarity. The world is filled with noise, opinions, judgments, unsolicited advice, and constant stimulation from external sources. All of this can cloud your thoughts, making it difficult to make decisions, form independent opinions, or even recognize your own desires. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you give yourself the space to think clearly and make decisions based on your own needs, not the influences of others. This private mental space allows you to process your experiences without the filter of public opinion, fostering a stronger connection with your true self. In addition, maintaining privacy protects you from emotional exhaustion. Sharing too much too often can be draining. When you reveal personal details about yourself to others, especially in large quantities, it can lead to a feeling of vulnerability, as though you're constantly exposing your innermost thoughts and emotions to the world. This openness can sometimes backfire, as it may leave you feeling exposed, misunderstood, or even unprotected. Privacy allows you to regulate how much of yourself you give to others, ensuring that you retain control over your emotional energy. It creates a protective barrier where you can manage your emotional reserves and avoid the burnout that often comes with oversharing or allowing others to take too much from you. The protection of personal space is also essential for fostering emotional resilience. When you have privacy, you can take the time to heal from emotional wounds without the judgment or interference of others. For instance, if you're going through a difficult time, whether it's the end of a relationship, a personal failure, or a period of grief, having the privacy to process your emotions in solitude can be incredibly restorative. It allows you to feel your feelings, confront them, and eventually release them without the added complexity of outside opinions or well-meaning but potentially misinformed advice. The ability to sit with your emotions without pressure from others is vital for building emotional strength and resilience. Privacy in these moments is an act of self-compassion, ensuring that your emotional needs are met on your own terms. Moreover, privacy helps you cultivate self-reliance. The more you share with others, the more you may inadvertently rely on their validation, support, or approval. This dependency can undermine your sense of independence and self-sufficiency. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you maintain a degree of emotional self-sufficiency. You learn to make decisions, face challenges, and solve problems without constantly seeking outside input. This self-reliance builds confidence in your own judgment, strengthens your ability to navigate life's difficulties, and reinforces your sense of autonomy. It reminds you that you are capable of handling situations on your own, without the constant need for reassurance or affirmation from others. Privacy also contributes to maintaining a sense of personal identity. When you reveal everything about yourself to others, you risk losing a part of who you are. Constantly sharing can blur the line between your own identity and the identities of those around you. It may cause you to conform to others' expectations or mold yourself to fit the feedback you receive. In contrast, maintaining privacy allows you to hold on to the aspects of yourself that are most important, your values, your dreams, and your true desires, without the interference of outside voices. It helps you stay grounded in who you are, preventing you from becoming overly influenced by the opinions or beliefs of others. This preservation of your sense of self allows you to live authentically, staying true to your values and aspirations, even in the face of societal pressures to conform. Furthermore, privacy fosters more meaningful connections with others. When you maintain a degree of privacy, the things you do choose to share become more significant. In relationships, whether personal or professional, sharing too much too soon can dilute the value of your words and experiences. People might start to take your vulnerability for granted as they become accustomed to receiving constant personal details from you. On the other hand, when you keep certain aspects of your life private, the moments when you choose to open up carry more weight and significance. Your words are given the attention and respect they deserve because they are not readily available to everyone. This selective sharing fosters deeper connections where both parties value each other's emotional boundaries and respect the intimacy of what is shared. Privacy also plays a key role in protecting your sense of dignity. In a world where everything is constantly shared on social media platforms, blogs, or even casual conversations, maintaining a sense of dignity often involves choosing what to disclose and what to keep to yourself. Privacy is an act of maintaining control over your personal narrative. When you share too much, you risk losing control over how your story is told and who gets to tell it. Others may interpret or misinterpret your experiences, which can lead to the distortion of your narrative. By protecting certain aspects of your life, you preserve your dignity and ensure that your story remains yours to tell, in your own time and on your own terms. In the end, privacy is not just a protective mechanism, but also an essential part of self-care. It allows you to protect your mental, emotional, and physical well-being by ensuring that your boundaries are respected and your energy is conserved. By selectively sharing and keeping parts of your life private, you create a healthier, more sustainable way of engaging with the world, one where you maintain control over your personal space and retain a sense of peace and autonomy. Privacy is not about isolation. It is about fostering the conditions necessary for personal growth, emotional resilience, and the ability to thrive independently in a world that often encourages constant exposure. In conclusion, the concept of don't let people know too much about you is not about building walls or being secretive. Rather, it's about establishing boundaries that protect your emotional, mental, and personal well-being. It is a reminder that your life, your thoughts, and your experiences are valuable and deserve to be shared selectively with those who respect and honor your privacy. The balance between openness and discretion is crucial in maintaining a sense of autonomy, emotional resilience, and inner peace. By holding some aspects of your life private, you create the space needed for self-reflection, self-care, and personal growth, free from undue influence, judgment, or manipulation. Ultimately, it is through carefully choosing what to reveal and when to do so that you preserve your integrity, foster deeper and more meaningful relationships, and maintain control over your personal narrative. Privacy, in this context, becomes a powerful tool for safeguarding your mental health, protecting your dignity, and ensuring that you remain the author of your own life story.